All right, middle school. So this is going to be your crash course into editing on Pixlr. We may be able to fit this into 2 classes. When I do these videos, I'm going to try and keep them under 15 minutes because I don't want you to just have to listen to me talk all the time. So if I realize I need to tell you more information, then we're just going to continue it tomorrow. We are still going to have our live session today, and we'll go over some of the steps, but the best way to do this is maybe watch this video and start playing in it, and then during our live session, if you have any questions or something's not working, you can save your questions for then. So let's get into Pixlr. So most of you should be pretty familiar with how to at least start it and how to get a photo in. So we're going to be showing you now how to use some of the tools a little bit more nuanced. So first of all, you want to be in photo, the Pixlr E, and then you're going to go to create new, and you're going to choose whatever size you know that you're going to use. I always use square. I can always change it, but I like to use square HD. I might do ultra HD if I know I'm going to be taking out a bunch, or if I want it to be really like high quality. But for the most part, for these tester assignments, I like to keep it just at 1080 by 1080. And then once I have that set, I'm going to make mine. I know I'm going to have space in it, and I'm going to have a cat in it. So I'm saying space cat is what I'm going to call it. So I'm going to create it. And I've got my square. Now, the first thing you want to do, and this is usually the first thing you want to do when you always start these, is you want to start with a background. One of the first amateur moves you want to get over is having blank spaces in your picture. And so I'm going to show you some of the things that this would look like. So first of all, I'm going to put in my background. Now, if you don't have a background yet, you're going to want to go and find one. Otherwise, you're going to want to find something to fill at least the whole space so that you have got yourself a nice background. So here we go. As you can see, do you notice how this is really pixely? This means I used an image that was too small for my computer. But the one thing you want to, oopsies, the one thing you want to do first though is you want to set it in, make it fill the space, and then see if when you click away the cursor, if it clears up. If it doesn't clear up, you might want to have to find a different picture. Now this one says that it was a higher quality picture, but it didn't actually do it, so we're going to find a different picture anyway. I'm going to drag that one onto here, and I'm going to see how that looks. Look at that, perfect. That's much clearer. All right, so I'm gonna just turn off the eye on the other one, and I don't have to do anything. I've just got my background set, I'm good to go. So that's the first step, is get your background on. If you are following along, you can pause the video here and get your own background on right now. Otherwise, you can just keep following along. I'd highly recommend when you're watching these videos though, to actively participate. Have your window open with Pixlr, follow along, stop the video, and then keep going. So, the next thing I'm going to do is I would like to have a cat wearing a sweatshirt in space. That's my end goal for this. That's what I want to see. So the next image that I went and found was a lady in a jacket. So here we go. Like, it's not important for her to have a head in this because I'm replacing her head with a cat head. So I don't need to worry about that piece right there. But I am going to want to cut out this white stuff because you don't want to just slam in the picture. You want to be able to cut it out. So there are a couple ways you can cut out the background, and this is going to be where most of your time is going to take, is cutting out backgrounds. If you have, for instance, let me put in this one real fast just so you can see the difference. I'm going to zoom in. There's a big picture of a bird. Holy moly. So notice how this one, I've got an actual busy background. It's an actual like outside scene. This is going to be harder to cut out than this one with just a white background. This one, because it's just a white background. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways of doing this. So the first way that you can use is the selector tool. Pretty much you can take a chunk, you select it, make sure you are still on the right layer. The layer has to be highlighted in order for it to work, and then you press delete and a little piece of it will go away. That's the first way. The next way you can do it is using the lasso tool, where you can use it around like that, press delete, and it goes away. That's the other way. Another way is in your lasso tools, up here, there's selection. Think of it like Microsoft Word. You've got your different tools, and then you've got the selections for those different tools. So here is another one. This is called magnetic lasso tool. And what happens is when you go, it will magnetize to the nearest object. So notice how it went to her jacket because that was an obvious pixel. Ooh, now it's making noise. Apparently it's just going all over the place. To make it stop to connect it, you want to go double click. So I'm going to do that one more time. Notice how it's going to the nearest edge. Double click to actually make it connect. And now when I press delete, it will delete. Now as you can see, it's flawed. It doesn't have the perfect system, and you want to be nice and zoomed in when you do it too, so you have a little bit more control. But notice how it's magnetizing to the edge of her jacket. Double click and you can erase. So that is the other way you can do it. Now here is the next way that you can erase your background, and this is one I want you to get used to, is the eraser tool, because you're always going to need to use the eraser tool at some point to clean up the edges. So you can go to the eraser tool and you can go in. Now if you can't ever do it, notice how I'm erasing as much as I can and nothing's happening. That's because this selector is selected. When I have something selected, it doesn't matter what you do, you will not be able to erase outside of it. So to get rid of that selection, you grab the X, you grab the square, click anywhere, and it goes away, and then you can keep going. So sometimes what will happen is someone will have accidentally made a tiny selection square. Look at that, teeny, 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 tiny, like 4 pixels big, and they won't be able to do anything and they don't see where it is. If ever that happens, just click with the selector tool and it'll get back to normal. So here's the eraser. So to use the eraser, you can just erase like this. You can go into your brush and you can make it much bigger. You can make it not be soft at all. And so when you cut away, it's big chunks. Or you can make it really soft so that, for instance, if you have hair or fur, when you're using the soft eraser, it will then be a little bit more forgiving around the fur and the hair. So that is the other way. Now you're going to need to use this no matter what when you get to some of the other stuff. So really learn how to get very finessing with the eraser. But the last way and the most cheater way you can use is this magic wand tool, and it's magic. So you go here. If you have a plain white background like this, you just click on it and delete, and it will get rid of anything of the same color. But watch what happens when I try and do it on this one. So again, magic wand tool, I click on it, look at how it is attracted to like colors, and because all of this is green, it can't tell what is background and what is bird. So if I delete, I end up with this crazy weird pattern here, which could be a cool effect if you want that eventually on more abstract looking pictures. But for this one, your goal is to have clean lines and a clean looking collage, and so you don't want to use the magic wand tool if you do not have blank space. So now, as you can see, I still have these lines. I'm going to still need to use my eraser. I'm going to make it much smaller so I can actually have control of it and make sure that the right layer is selected, and then I'm going to go in and clean up those lines. So yeah, that is how to use those tools. So that is now how I got rid of the background. Now I want to put a cat on her face, so the next thing I want to do is bring in my kitty that I chose. And whenever you bring it in, you want to always add to the current project. I didn't say this earlier, but I want to say it now. You always want to add to the current project. If you add new, it's going to open up a new project. And this one, if it's not saved, it'll just kind of disappear. So you want to make sure you add to current project. The other thing is you do not need to log into Pixlr. A lot of times people think that they need to log in order to use it. No, as long as you're always working on the same computer, you're not going to have to log in. So here we go. Here we have our cat. I'm going to actually take this. I'm going to get rid of the big chunks of the cat I don't need. So I'm not going to need the background, and I'm not going to need its whole body. So I'm just going to cut out the big chunks to kind of get rid of the stuff I don't need so it's not distracting me. And I'm making rough cuts right now because I'm going to go in and clean it up later, but I just want it to look be easier to maneuver, so I can go in and fix it up. So here is now my cat's face, and I'm going to fit him into her jacket. But as you can see, if I start erasing this cat's face, I don't know where the edge of her jacket is. So here is the next trick I'm going to show you. So you're going to go into here, you're going to right click on the layer, and you're going to turn down the transparency to about 50, in the 50s, because then you can still see the cat pretty well, but you can still see the jacket behind the cat. So now that that is done, I'm going to press the X. I'm going to go to my selector. I'm going to maneuver the cat's face, make it a little bit bigger maybe. Yeah, I think it could work bigger. So there, now I've got my cat in here, and I can now go in with my eraser and start erasing. Oopsies, wrong one. Or make sure you're on the right layer. Make sure, otherwise you're going to end up erasing. So like I was on this layer and I press the eraser, I actually erase the wrong layer. You don't want to do that. So always make sure that you have the right layer selected. This is the common mistake made by new photographers and editors, is accidentally being on the wrong layer. So here we go. Just cleaning it up a little bit more. Now I'm just slowly peeling away some of the edges. I'm going to come back to this cat. I'm going to, oopsies, make it 100% again. And as you can see, my cat is starting to have it. Now I actually deleted a little bit too much of his bottom fur there. I'm going to probably add that back in a little bit. But for the most part, I've kind of got my cat's face started. So here are a few of the things that you want to learn how to do. A few things though, notice how the jacket is super duper crisp and the cat is really blurry. I am not a big fan of that really. I kind of might actually go in and replace my cat. In a final picture, if you are doing this for an actual assignment, you want to watch your pixel count. You want to make sure that they are somewhat believable, same pixels. This cat isn't as high quality as this jacket, and so in the future, just be aware of that. But I'm going to show you a few more tools that you can use on your own, and then we're going to continue working on it tomorrow, but I'm just going to let you get started. This will probably take you a good 45 minutes. It took me a lot faster because I'm used to the program, but it might take you a little bit longer, and it's okay to take longer to do it. I want you to take as much time on this as you need. If you need to clean up those edges, clean up those edges. If you need to do some really crazy effects, do those crazy effects. Just because I'm cruising through this really quickly, do not take my level of effort as how much you should be spending on it. Do whatever you want to this picture. All right, so I'm going to show you how to edit a photo when you bring it in. So here is I have selected on my space picture, and let's say I like these colors, but I want to change them. You go to Adjustments up at the top, and you go to Hue and Saturation. I'm going to move it to the side so you can see it, and you can actually change the entire color of that space. I kind of like it more green like this because it kind of matches the pants. So now I've changed that. I can also make it more saturated so it's a little bit brighter, or I can kind of make it a little bit less saturated. Actually kind of like that because it makes it look a little bit more edgy. And then I can apply it. So that is how you can adjust your layers. Same with this one. Let's say you wanted her in black and white. You can then go to, or let's say you wanted it to be brighter. So you can go to brightness and contrast, you can make it brighter, and then you can bring up the contrast and you can kind of make it look a little bit more contrasted. When we do photography, you're going to be using these tools a lot because you're going to want to make your picture look the best it can possibly look. So that is how you can adjust that on the layers. The other thing that I wanted to show you is if you wanted to use any text, you can go in with the text bar. All you do is you click on that, and then you can add a text layer, and then you can put in your text right there, and you can control it using color and the size. So I've now reached 14 minutes. You have got quite a bit to do today. Remember, background, object, add your things together. You can make anything you want out of it. I've only got 3 pictures here. You're going to need a 4th picture on your assignment. You may have collected 10 images. Figure out which ones are the most important to you, and I will talk to you during your live class today. Have fun, everybody. Happy editing.